Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back another video from Seth the Programmer. Now, I noticed he's recently uploaded how strong is new Super Saiyan 4 form adult, and I was going to check it out, but realised I have not checked out the how strong is new Super Saiyan 4 form, and I'm guessing that is the, you know, the kid form of it. So I thought it would make sense to check this one out first before the adult form one. So, let's check it out.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
This is Seth. So this is going to be one of those old school
Alright.
episode release sort of slop review videos where I pretty much just briefly talk about the scaling in the episode, what it means, and so on. But
Okay.
for Diamond, for the most part, I didn't really care about explaining like, hello, this child, yeah, he's just sort of weaker than when he was an adult in the Buu Saga. That wasn't really that interesting, and I don't think anyone cared.
No, not
But
really.
Super Saiyan 4 was pretty cool, and everyone wants to see, how strong it is. People also keep packing me up. They're riding me and getting pregnant or something off of it, and I have to clear up some misconceptions because a lot of it is pretty ignorant. Now, I love you
Oh.
guys, but y'all gotta leave this power scaling stuff to me, man. Like,
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
because this is melting my brain reading some of these comments. So I'm gonna explain how strong is the new Super Saiyan 4. Some people call it Toriyama Super Saiyan 4. I'm just gonna call it the new one. You guys can call it whatever you want. But starting off, the biggest problem with Daima is that we have to go over how strong is base Goku. Now, we don't actually
All right.
know a whole lot about base Goku in Daima, except that he is just exponentially weaker. A lot of you know that his adult form is being treated as a massive hypothetical power-up in the future. And everything I say in this video is only the argumentative side of the scaling for now. Because next episode, we'll learn everything. And then I'm going to make another video. But for now, this is how you can argue the scaling within this episode. So, first things first is that Kid Goku, there are unironically arguments that he is weaker than Dabura.
Deborah, really? Okay.
A lot of them, actually. Even Dabura challenging the Tamagamis and being weaker than them does not matter at all.
Huh.
So Dabura is stronger than Super Perfect Cell. Might need to make a video on that. I talk about it on a lot of my streams, but he's basically stronger than Super Perfect Cell, but weaker than Super Saiyan 2 Gohan
Gohan,
in the
yeah,
Cell
of course,
games. Okay, and I've went over that a bunch on my streams. You guys already know everything I'd say about that and all my yapping. I talk about it and how strong is Goku and so on. Dabura stated the strongest in the Demon Realm when he's at least Majin. Okay, so this is stated in every guide, stated by Shin. He is the ultimate ruler of the Demon Realm, or at least the most powerful entity. Okay, and then Babidi basically kidnaps him, and then he says, I don't care about the Demon Realm. He might not even know about the Dragon Balls or whatever. We have no idea at that point. And then they go to Earth immediately because he wants to get Majin Buu. And then with Majin Buu, he can exact his revenge on the universe or do his evil little scheme.
Be a
But the
bad
problem
man.
with that is that Goku then struggles with entities in the Demon Realm weaker than Dabura.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. If Deborah is stated to be the strongest in the... Right, okay, I see.
Now, I've made some goon arguments like, oh, it's retcon, blah, blah, blah. In a Discord debate, you'd get fucked up on that. I'm not going to lie to you. That retcon stuff doesn't fly in a debate. People would just say, why is it a contradiction? And then you would just get skeptic Andy to oblivion, right? That's just sort of the move order of the rhetoric. And it just doesn't work in your favor. Just like, retcon, come on, man, retcon. It just never works. People can just retroactively be skeptical and just be like, okay, prove that this entity is stronger than Dabura. Like, why is that thing stronger? It was stated directly that he was. Like, there's a contradictory statement. So, yeah, it is sort of hard to get around that statement. Now, the things that I argue is just that maybe the Demon Realm got stronger, which is a total lie. But you could just be like, yeah, the Demon Realm totally got stronger. Like, this new generation of giant kids, they're just way more powerful. Neva amped the Tamagami since then. Neva unlocked his God Key you know, since Deborah left or something. That's really the only way to get around that. So if I was in an argument, that's probably how I would go around it, and then I would sort of reverse the skepticism, and then that's what I would employ. Some people will tell you that they're weaker than the androids in an argument, and that's why you'll see Goku and Vegeta and Piccolo, they're kind of struggling with just random soldiers with guns, because realistically, they're just that much weaker. And a big problem with that is that their bodies do represent their key control. So the body is a massive part of key control. So if you
Well, yeah, 'cause, like he's showing here in the background, Goku was struggling to fly with his kid body because he's not used to it.
have a
Yeah.
tiny child body, even if you have the courage, the mental, the energy, your body is not going to exhibit nearly as much power. So they're at least at max, they're at least like 60%
Okay.
of what they were before they turned into kids. But I think it goes much further than that, to be honest. I think their body would be unable to maintain the same level of energy. And this seems to be supported by all of the dialogue. And next episode, we'll see a lot more. Now, getting into Goma himself, a lot of people do ride me on this because I was like, okay, there's not actually any proof he's stronger than Majin Buu. There's actually none at all. And the big problem with that is that Shin is getting involved, Glorio's getting involved, and Shin and Glorio are incredibly weak. I made an argument that perhaps that Shin got stronger, but Shin is definitely way weaker than Majin Buu.
Yeah.
And he's keeping up. I'm not going to lie, he's kind of keeping up with the Super Saiyans at this point. And you could just argue that because he's a Glim, that his size doesn't even affect his power as much as, say, a Saiyan or more of these biological entities, you know, like a mammal, whereas he's like sort of a plant demon creature, right? Piccolo might be in the same boat and stuff like that. But Goma, there actually wasn't any proof of that, and the only proof is that he fought Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then people would just go total dirt mode. They'd just be like, he fought Super Saiyan 3, Kid Buu fought Super Saiyan 3, you know? And I'm like, these are not the same Super Saiyan 3 Goku, for one,
No.
and for two, Kid Buu was way stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. It absurdly,
Well, yeah, he was not winning that fight. He was struggling.
absurdly high amount. And people underestimate how strong Super Saiyan 3 Goku was in the Buu Saga. If you want to go by the Toei version, you want to say Daima takes place in Toei universe with, like, you know, let's say Dragon Ball filler or whatever. If it takes place in the Toei verse, which I'm not saying it does or doesn't, but it's highly likely that it does if it takes place like Dragon Ball Super's anime. Kid Buu is fighting a Goku who goes through the Mind Trap, and in the Mind Trap DBZ episode, Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta are fighting Gohan, Mystic Gohan, or Ultimate Gohan, and Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, and they are stated to be stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and Ultimate Gohan, right? At the end of the Buu Saga, in Dragon Ball Super, in Daima, etc. After Kid Buu, Goku surpasses Ultimate Gohan. And the problem with Ultimate Gohan is that he's probably around 50% stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, give or take, because Gotenks, who's around Super Buu's level, added together, kind of put, you know, they put the moves on Gohan, so it's sort of like the reverse order. So he's probably like about 50% stronger than Gotenks, right? But the problem was that Super Saiyan Gotenks was being theorized to be able to take out Majin Buu at the beginning of that arc. When people sent Super Saiyan Gotenks,
That was the
no one
idea with
denied
it, but
that
then he got
might be able to
absolutely
beat Buu,
beat up.
even though it took Super Saiyan 3 Goku to do that before. So Goku, even in the manga, is getting exponentially more powerful by the time the end of this arc comes around. Like possibly over 8 times more powerful, okay? And then add that with Ultimate Gohan's 50%, and then if you go by the Mind Trap filler, he could possibly fight them as a Super Saiyan. So he might be over 8 times more powerful than them. And then Kid Buu, he no-diffs them, right? Kid Buu can absolutely no-diff Super Saiyan 3 Goku. A lot of people think that they were equal. No, not at all. Kid Buu doesn't go full power to the Spirit Bomb at the end, which has immeasurable power in the Daizenshu. It's stated multiple times that Goku goes full power in this fight, can't do anything to him. Kid Buu is just toying with him, just very blatantly. Kid Buu was the absolute strongest in the anime, and people think that Kid Buu was equal to him, which I kind of get. The video games kind of present it that way.
Yeah, but
it's
nah.
not true. Buhan as well. He's crashing out on the universe, knocking it all down.
Buhan
Pressing Super
was the strongest.
Vegito, who's stronger than he's the strongest in Dragon Ball and
Yeah.
Super Saiyan. It's just not close. Like Goma doesn't have that line of scaling by beating up Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And so this is where, or sorry, Kid Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? And then, you know, all of the, just, he doesn't even beat Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta as well. He beats, like, Super Saiyan Vegeta for some reason. And so, Goku then goes Super Saiyan 4. And it's like, well, how strong is this? And then people are cock-riding me again. They were like, hey, prove that's not the same Super Saiyan 4 as in GT. I'm like, bro, it's night and day. You could argue GT Super Saiyan 4 is like a Potara level multiplier. You can't say that about Daimas at all. It's not possible. You cannot tell me that. It's not possible. And they're like, why? Why can't you say that?
Or Mega Shenron.
And I'm just like, did you watch the episode? Like, he fought Goma as a Super Saiyan 3, and then Do comes in as a Super Saiyan 3. Do fights alongside Super Saiyan 3 Goku. They kind of tag team Goma. He takes them out. Then Goku goes Super Saiyan 4, and he doesn't just one-shot Goma or start no-diffing him. Goma just, like, uses a little bit more power and
just
beats him up.
starts fighting
the other
back.
characters can still kind of press that Goma. Right? Like, remember, Piccolo kind of briefly holds back Goma's attack and stuff like that. You can argue Goma's holding back, but the multiplier, realistically, for the new Super Saiyan 4 is probably a lot more grounded. Now, a lot of you guys might remember there used to be old statements that Super Saiyan being a 50 times multiplier, probably too high in hindsight, but it just had to happen because of Kaioken, okay? So when you read things like Super Exciting Guide or whatever, it goes Super Saiyan 50 times. Like, that's a pretty big boost, right? 5 times the Uzar, right? And then Super Saiyan 2 is like 2 times that, and then Super Saiyan 3 is 4 times. It's like, whoa, these numbers are a lot smaller. What happened with these big? Super Saiyan 4 feels more like 100 times Super Saiyan 2 or something when you look at it, but no, only 4 times. So if Toriyama's really behind the new Super Saiyan 4, the multiplier might be a lot more grounded. And when you actually watch the scene, I'm going to be honest, in terms of just raw statistics, the only thing Goku is doing is that he's overcoming an enemy where maybe like 3 or 4 opponents, like 3 Super Saiyan 3 level opponents might not be able to take him, right? Like Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Vegeta, and Super Saiyan 3 Majin Buu combining an attack probably can't beat Goma, right? So this Super Saiyan 4 probably like at least 4 or 5 times. If you want to go 10 times or something for nostalgia's sake, you could, but there's not really that proof for it. And even if you want to go by the way he transformed, which is Neva, when he amped the Tamagami, because we don't know how much Neva amped him. If you want to go, I have another video coming about him, but he could beat Goma 1v1. I'll go over that later, though. But he sort of just gives Goku this Tamagami magic DNA amp. And that didn't even amp the Tamagami from around Super Saiyan 1 through 3 in terms of multiplier. So it wasn't even like realistically an 8 times multiplier. That's why Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta then defeats him. It was less than 8 times. It was probably more like 3 or 4 times, right? So there's a lot of evidence for that. So if you want to argue, he gives him the same magic amp, that's like 4 times, and then he transforms, and that's at least 2 times or something, right? Like just super exciting guide mode. Then maybe it's like 8 times, 10 times, like I said. But in the Buu arc, Kid Buu, you can argue dozens of times, right? Of like adult Buu Saga Goku. And Goma, remember, Goma was crapping himself at the side of Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 2 Goku. Like, before Goku got dozens of times more powerful in the Buu Saga, that was making Goma crap his pants. Okay? And then he wasn't as impressed with the child versions, implying the child versions were weaker than start of Buu Saga Goku. And then you cannot quantify Super Saiyan 4. Okay? Super Saiyan 4 it just doesn't have the Riz. Okay? Doesn't turn him into an adult like in GT.
Yeah, he's right. Like, he was slightly stronger. Not really doing much of a difference to the bad guy.
He doesn't have the same hacks as in GT, the adaptation hacks. Just not as good. Now, there is some saving graces, though. First saving grace, okay? The first saving grace, Goma is stated to be the strongest enemy they fight, okay? Just reading the website, it says the story is finally reaching its climax. Goku and his friends face off against Goma, their strongest enemy, who has obtained a third evil eye. Now, climax, this is the strongest enemy of the climax of this story. could just mean that Goma is the strongest character they fought within Daima.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means nothing, right? That could just mean nothing. But if you say it's the strongest enemy they fought ever, then sure, it would mean he's stronger than Buhan, stronger than Kid Buu, and so on and so forth. Okay, that's what that would mean. And Super Saiyan 4 would be more like would probably be weaker than Super Vegito, but it would be like above Vegito tier, like that old Chinese or Chinese translated guide where it's like Vegito Super Saiyan 4 tier. There you go. There's the foreshadowing, right? There's the canonicity behind that statement. He was talking about Daima Super Saiyan 4 foreshadowing. So he's above base Vegito probably, okay? And then Goma, probably not stronger than Vegito still, but he gets stronger as time goes on, and then we learn more about his power. Also, I do think that Goma will surpass Kid Buu in the next episode. Something you could say about Super Saiyan 4 in this episode is that he is not able to use his full power because, once again, child body cannot handle Super Saiyan 4's abilities, nor can he handle, all of his hacks or all of his strength. And then in the next future episode, when he goes Super Saiyan 4, that is when he will be able to use his full potential. Maybe we'll see Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta as well. Goma will be like, I got 10 times more powerful, blah, 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 and then all that stuff. A cool hack for Super Saiyan 4 Goku, though, that he does have is that he can negate magic. So that is just the most blatant and obvious one, is that he can just clearly dispel magic. Problem is that they kind of already could on Super. Like, remember, Trunks can negate Dabura's magic. A lot of magical characters cannot influence Goku throughout all of Dragon Ball Super. And even Z, right? Like, Boss Carrot want to just transmute Goku and kill him or something, right? So it's not a new hacks, unfortunately, but he does do that, right? He can, like, sort of negate his hacks, and then Goma power nulls Goku, which is an interesting ability. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that this episode does not prove Goma is stronger than Kid Buu, but I do think that next episode he will be. I think that the
So this was
adult
done
form
before
will
it
come
ended,
back
right? Okay.
out. And then, Super Saiyan 4 might come back out, or we're going to get a training statement for Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or anything, really. I guess another way to argue that they are stronger, if I had to, is you argue it this way. You say that, Piccolo, when he saw Super Saiyan 4, he was like, what power? Okay, this is now that seems like a very generic statement, right? Like Piccolo saying, what power? But that could imply Piccolo is impressed with the level of power, and he is comparing that to Super Buu and so on. He didn't really see much of Kid Buu, but if you say, he's talking about Super Buu, then, you could get that Super Saiyan 4 Goku above Super Buu level argument from that statement, because he's impressed by Super Saiyan 4's power. You could say that he's talking about in hindsight, he's like, wow, that is a big multiplier. In my head, if you're an adult, that'd be crazy. Just based on what I know about how strong you were. So if you used this form back then, that's a crazy multiplier. That's a really insane power-up. But then Goku, he talks about the Oculus, right? He talks about the Oculus and its power. And he says, wow, how strong is this eyeball? Right? So that also tells me that he is probably impressed by the level of power. He's not like, oh, man, I just wish I was an adult. I just punked this guy. He doesn't really seem to be saying that. But still, you guys get the idea. There's a lot to say about it. Once again, I do think next episode it will be clear cut. But this episode, up in the air. But what do you guys think? You think Goma's going to be like a Super Vegito Buu Saga level threat? You think he's going to stretch beyond the Buu Saga? Do you think he's probably not really going to reach
I'm trying to remember how
the Dabura statement too strong?
how it turned
It's
out.
kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. That Dabura statement's kind of crazy. It's definitely,
Because it was weird, really, because it didn't really matter how strong you were. Like, you still just need to get rid of the third eye. So you're kind of like immortal with the third eye, really. You needed those 3 knocks to the head. Because doesn't Goku blast a whole freaking hole through him that goes through the planet? And then, like, rejoins all the fucking 3 demon realms together. And then he still just heals.
Being honest, right? Not like a debate sophist. It definitely was retcon, but it is funny. You gotta admit. Other than that, though, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you next time.
Well, yeah, that's what happened anyway. But yeah, so, like, initially I wanted to check out the adult one, but I didn't think it would make sense. without checking that one out. So we'll check out the most recent one really soon. So yeah, fun. Thanks for watching.